Thank you.
Good evening. Tonight is May 1st, and this is the regular monthly board meeting of the Concord School Board. We are starting just a little bit early because we have a lot of cool stuff tonight, so we didn't want to wait. Before we get into our introduction for our new AP, let's start the meeting. Can you take the roll, Ms.?
Yeah. Mr. Richards.
Here.
Ms. Walsh. Here. Mr. Cotton.
Here.
Ms. Robinson.
Here.
And Mr. Croto.
Here.
We have tonight missing Ms. Higgins and Ms. Meeker, and Mr. Weinberg is running a little bit late.
Very good, but we do have a quorum, so we will start our meeting. Superintendent, do you want to introduce our new assistant principal?
Well, as part of the process, we always like to have our nominees, if you will, because your job tonight, I hope, will be to elect this person to the position, but I'm pleased to introduce to you Rebecca DelBarone. Rebecca was selected by a team at the high school for the position of assistant principal. That's the position that Dr. Herbert vacated, as now that he will become on July 1 the new principal at Concord High School, and Rebecca will be taking Tim's position as assistant principal. They had a great review. They did obviously some screenings. They had multiple interviews. They had a chance to, Rebecca had a chance to meet with the faculty. She had a chance to meet with some parents and some folks in the district. So she received great accolades from that. You had a board member present. Kara Mika was on the team. So I know that I talked to Kara last week, and Kara was thrilled to hear that Rebecca would be brought forward for the position. So I just asked Rebecca to come and maybe share a little bit about her work with you and give you a chance to ask some questions. How's that?
Very good. We're really, really tough, Rebecca. So,
It seems like it.
so please tell us a little about yourself.
Sure. So I am from Rhode Island, relocating to the area. My grandparents lived in Concord, and so I spent a lot of time here growing up. So it's a place that's near and dear to my family's heart. I actually brought my family with me today. My husband and 3 kids are sitting in the middle there.
Thanks for coming.
So I have been in education for 20 years. I was a high school math teacher prior to moving to administration. I've had opportunities to be an administrator at both the middle school and high school level. Each have their unique challenges, but there's something about high school that just is near and dear. High school students are the best, you know, the young adults, like really shaping into who they are, what their values are, and who are they becoming, you know, as human beings. And it's a great opportunity to get to be a part of that. And I find so much joy in that. And in fact, my school visit, my favorite part of the day was the time I got to spend with the kids. So I was really excited that was included in it. And so I'm really excited to be here. You know, love the idea that Concord has the competency-based grading. Something I'm on the committee in the district I currently work in to try to get that happening in our district. And it's exciting to be joining hopefully be joining a community that values that. And I'm excited about the DEI work. There's a lot of growth we can do in every district that you can be in, and so it's really heartwarming to be welcomed into a district that's really taking some of the hard work and putting it at the forefront and recognizing the improvement that we can have for kids by doing that. So I'm excited.
Very good.
Yeah.
Questions from the board? I'm very happy to hear your background is math.
Good.
Math is very near and dear to this board's heart.
Excellent.
And we want to see improvement
Excellent.
all across the board.
Wonderful.
During the COVID times, that was probably one of the areas that was hit hardest.
Yep.
And as a parent who actually took a lot of math, I couldn't help nearly as well as I should have been. So.
My children would agree with you that the math part had hit hard. Literally every night in my house, someone's in my bedroom asking me for math help homework, and I'm like, you guys have no idea how lucky you are right now.
They're very fortunate. Other questions from board members?
Well, hopefully your children will end up in our great schools here in Concord. But what made you decide you wanted to look outside your current district in Rhode Island where you've spent your career?
My husband and I have always thought, we talked about how we would always retire to New Hampshire, right? And so we're still really far from that. Feels like that'll never happen, right? But sometimes, like COVID happened, right? And you start to reevaluate priorities and saying like, well, what are you waiting for? And so it just seemed like, we live in a 2-family with my parents, and my mom retired, and they're looking at relocating to Florida. And so there was just like some transitions, and we said, why not? What are we waiting for? If not now, when? And then, so we said we'd, sort of like put our feet in the water and see. And this was actually the first job I applied to because it just seemed like it fit. Reading about the district, reading about the school, it felt like what was written as important were the same priorities that I have. And so it seemed like just like the universe was telling us it was the right time. So we took the jump and said, why not? And here we are. We actually went around and looked at some houses today. So starting that process.
Wow, you found some.
No. No.
No.
No, we haven't,
say,
actually. If anyone knows of anything.
Concord is a really great place, but that's one of your challenges.
The housing shortage is, I was reading some articles about it, there is no joke right now. So, but
Well, I wish
we'll
you
find
luck.
something.
Other questions?
What are you most excited to start with coming into the district? What's lighting you up?
Well, actually last week I received information about the 9th grade orientation in the summer. And so that initial piece, as a concrete piece, is what's exciting me the most, because I'm excited, like in July, to actually get to spend some time with kids, and they'll be new just like me. Mm-hmm. And so I feel like that's something to look forward to be excited about. But moving forward, I'm really passionate about teaching and learning and what's going on in classrooms. And so I'm really looking forward to the school year starting and getting to be in classrooms and see what we're doing really well and see where my skill set can help make improvements, and be with the team. The team has been super welcoming. They've already, included me in a group chat. And so just getting here and getting started, but sort of like those two specific things.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah.
We're excited to have you.
Thank you.
Other questions?
Just want to say welcome.
Thank you.
I think you'll find it a very happy learning environment for your whole family, and it's a great place to be.
It feels like it.
Good.
Yay.
That's-
Let's start every meeting like this.
This is a good meeting, this one coming in. So, any other comments or questions for Rebecca? Rebecca, do you go by Becky or Rebecca?
I do go by Becky.
I can
Rebecca
tell
if
by
I'm
the
in
baby.
trouble. Becky if
So great, cool. I'm happy to have you.
Thank you.
Can't wait for you to
Welcome.
start.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Very good.
Mr. Richards, would you have any objection to me placing Rebecca's name in nomination at this point in the meeting, even though the list is much further down under personnel, so that we could forgo that in case the kids haven't had supper yet?
I need to
or-
feed.
Kids.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Would you object to that, sir?
I always allow public comments, so
It's
I
true.
would pose it to the board. Can we just have an initial public comment session now, if there are any public comments on this particular nomination?
I would move that we have a public comment period restricted to this particular nomination.
I'll
Is-
second that.
All right, so the move has been made, or the motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, in that case, I will open a public comment period on the nomination and approval of the Assistant Principal, Rebecca DelBarone. Is there anyone that would like to make a public comment with regards to this topic? Not seeing any, I will close the public comment period, and having had a public comment, I will make a motion to approve the appointment of Rebecca DelBarone for Assistant Principal at the high school. Is there a second?
Second. Tom got it.
Okay.
Yep, got it.
Is there any further discussion?
No.
In that case, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Welcome, Mr.
Thank you.
DelBarone. You're approved. The motion passes. Thank you. And feel free to leave whenever dinner calls for your kids. We're happy to have them here too. Welcome to Concord. All right. Next item is approval of our agenda, which we've already slightly modified. But does anyone have any additions or changes to tonight's agenda? Not seeing any. Do I have a motion to accept the agenda?
So moved?
Okay, second?
Second.
Okay. Do you get the?
Yep.
Very good. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, the agenda is approved. We'll next go to item number 4, the consent agenda, consisting of our regular monthly meeting minutes from April 3rd, City and Community Relations meeting of April 17th, and the Instructional Committee of April 19th. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second?
Okay.
Who made the motion?
It was Pam,
Yep.
seconded by
Me,
Ms.
Brenda.
Hastings.
Sorry.
Any discussion of the consent agenda? Not seeing any discussion. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? The consent agenda is approved. Item number 5, celebrations. I believe, Superintendent, this is your area.
Thank you. This is a night of celebrations, I suspect, and I'm really pleased to bring this forward. About, 3 or 4 weeks ago, Pam Walsh and Kim Yarlott and myself attended the naturalization ceremony at the high school. It was an awesome ceremony. One of the justices of the Supreme Court was there, as well as some folks from the department, and there were people from Concord and the local areas sworn in as American citizens. So what a great morning it was. Supported by the high school social studies department. Becky Tancreed really coordinated the event, did a fabulous job. And students participated in it. The music was there. Students sang. And then they had one of the winners of the Poetry Out Loud contest who presented to the group that was in attendance. And after she finished her poetry, Pam Walsh gave me the elbow. She was sitting right there, and she said, "We need to have her at a board meeting." And I said, "That's a great idea." So, without saying too much more, I'm going to ask our award winner to come up and join us at the table, and that is our senior, Kayla Taylor. Senior at Concord High School. You need to be at a microphone.
Okay, let me see here.
Oh, would you rather stand?
Yeah.
You want to stand?
Pull it from the.
You can pull it right out.
Which way do you want me to place?
Stand anywhere you want.
You can.
Yeah, go right on the
Yeah.
side there, and that way we can all see.
All right.
There you go.
All right, Caged Bird by Maya Angelou. A free bird leaps on the back of the wind and floats downstream till the current ends, and dips his wing in the orange sun rays, and dares to claim the sky. But a bird that stalks down his narrow cage can seldom see through his bars of rage. His wings are clipped and his feet are tied, so he opens his throat to sing. The caged bird sings with a fearful trill of things unknown but longed for still, and his tune is heard on the distant hill, for the caged bird sings of freedom. The free bird thinks of another breeze and the trade wind soft through the sighing trees, and the fat worms waiting on a dawn bright lawn, and he names the sky his own. But the caged bird stands on the grave of dreams, his shadow shouts on a nightmare scream. His wings are clipped and his feet are tied, so he opens his throat to sing. The caged bird sings with a fearful trill of things unknown but longed for still, and his tune is heard on the distant hill, for the caged bird sings of freedom.
Thank you, Kayla.
Awesome, Kayla. Now you know why I love that event. And Kayla, did you have to perform over at the State House? Did you do that?
No,
No. Okay.
I was the runner-up for the school competition.
For the school competition. Okay. And then they have they continue with the competition, and they use Legislative Hall, and from across the state. Students from all the local, the state high schools perform, and they do choose a winner every year. And it's just a great event. So kudos to Concord High School for hosting that event and having our students perform, because it's a great event. So
Thank you. And for the benefit of the board, Kayla, will you stand up and tell everybody where you're going to school next year?
Next year I'll be attending Columbia University.
Well done. We're very proud of you.
can we continue on this celebration?
Sure.
All right,
Sure.
okay.
These
All
are
right.
the fun meetings.
Okay, these are the fun meetings. So,
So much better than budget.
yeah, we should do this during budget. Maybe
We
that'll
should halfway
maybe that'll
through.
cheer everybody up a little bit.
Yeah.
Anyway, the next part of celebration tonight is really something very special. It's been a long time event here in Concord, where our principals work to determine a distinguished educator. You know, you think about it, I mean, really, the heart and soul of our business are the teachers who perform in the classrooms every day. And, you know, it's just been amazing to watch. Just think about how it's, over the last 3 years, what we've asked our teachers to do every single day. And so to recognize them is really important. And, of course, next week, I believe, is Teacher Appreciation Week. So this award is very fitting to be able to recognize our teachers. And so we have them here tonight. And I'm going to start with high school this time. We usually start with the young ones, but we're going to go right to the high school. And the first one up is from Concord Career and Technical Center. Who's doing that? Are you going to do that, Mike? Okay.
For the past 12 years in his role as our Concord High School Drama Club director and impresario, and for the past 5 years of teaching the CRTC Theater and Film program, Clint Close has cultivated an authentic community of learners, performers, and drama enthusiasts. The secret and power of both the district CRTC program as a whole, and our drama club in particular, has always resided in their ability to offer students a sense of identity, belonging, and authenticity. Each year, 30 or 40 of our drama students commit to a common purpose, support and encourage each other in its pursuit, and literally create beautiful music and art together. The center and heart of that powerful formula is Clint Close, whose level of commitment to his students and their aspirations, his skill as a teacher and motivator, and perhaps most importantly, His goodwill and humanity are the foundation upon which the program is built and a glue that binds his community together. Here's what a random sample of Clint's students had to say about him. Mr. Close is the kindest, most thoughtful, and simply the best teacher I've ever had. Another noted, he's really funny. You can tell he cares a lot about us. Actually, I never found you that funny, actually. To tell you that. Okay. From another student, he tells us that he doesn't think of his work as a job, but if he did, he would say, I have the luckiest job in the world. Many students noted Clint's philosophy of teaching through experience, which featured students exposed to virtually every aspect of the dramatic process, both on stage and backstage, in cooperative groups, and how, in learning together, they bonded with one another, learned to trust and like each other, and in so doing evolved into a team prepared to tackle the rigors of mounting a play. Clint refers to this as a village approach, wherein every individual student draws upon the kindness and support of his or her peers, a source of strength and community that really should be a model for how we structure the entire world. Clint, as many of you know, was a longtime music teacher at the Beaver Meadow School, where he also ran the school's theater program. His assumption of the drama club position at the high school, and in 2018, under the urging of the legendary Steve Rothenberg, the CRTC theater and film program, were decisions which moved him from the familiar and comfortable into uncharted waters. I asked Clint why he took the chance. Because I wanted to reinvigorate myself as a teacher, he replied. Indeed, when Clint was first considering a teaching career and mentioned this idea to a family friend who had retired from teaching, the teacher didn't respond for several difficult minutes. She finally turned to Clint and said, "Don't ever settle for mediocrity." Words which, in everything he does every day at Concord High School, Clint proves he took to heart. It is my distinct and authentic pleasure to recognize Clint Close as a, and everyone who knows him already knows this, distinguished educator.
Yeah, Jim, can you let you do a photo op?
Oh, sure. Sorry, I should have known that. You have to turn.
Okay. Still yours, Mr. Reardon.
Say what? Oh, who's up next?
Michelle.
Kari. And I have members of the Kari Zwick fan club here. Come on, ladies. Come on up, Kari. So for those of you who may not know, this is Kari Zwick. She actually is out on medical right now from surgery, but she was determined to be here with us tonight. Kari also used to work as an educational assistant for how many years?
I think 12.
Under the wonderful Peter Bombacci, and then became a special educator. She works in our program with our students who are 18 to 22-year-olds, helping them transition successfully into adulthood. So, creativity is defined as the ability to make or otherwise bring into existence something new, whether a new solution to a problem, a new method or device, or a new artistic object or form. Kari Zwick, Concord High School special education teacher with a flair of turning anything into a masterpiece, lives this definition each day of her professional life. Creativity and Kari Zwick go together in a way that has made a significant difference in the lives of students who have had the good fortune of having Kari for their teacher. There are many examples I could provide of why Kari should be given this recognition. She is a supportive colleague. She has wonderful insight into her students. She's a dedicated employee to the Concord School District. She is respected by many in the school and larger Concord community. This list could go on and on. However, I would like to reflect on school year 2019 to 2020. Now, I know that may sound crazy, but if you ever have the opportunity to watch Kari at work, you would feel the same way. We all know what took place in the spring of 2020. Teachers were faced with challenges that could not be imagined. In special education, we knew that our work could not, should not, and would not stop. Enter Kari Zwick. As we prepared for what was ahead, Kari was determined to make her room as inviting as it could, being given all that we and our students faced. She took it upon herself to work endlessly in person to create a safe, welcoming space for her students. Kari, at her most creative, painted, repurposed, reorganized, and restructured a classroom designed to support our adult students in activities to prepare them for life after high school. This was prior to the generous redesign that the district provided last year. This was single-handedly completed by Kari. There was no way that COVID or any other barrier would stand in the way of her work and of her students receiving the education and support they deserved. Kari did this on her own time with her own resources. She took a classroom that had some cracks and scars and created yet another Kari Zwick original. How did she achieve it? Creativity. When John and Ellen were able to provide us with the funds for our redesign, Kari was right there to discuss what she thought she should be provided. However, when you tell Kari to think big and make a wish list, this proves to be a challenge for her. Why? Creativity. Kari is not one who needs expensive items, nor does she expect anyone to provide for her. She takes something that someone else sees as valueless and reimagines a new life for it. This comes natural to her. Kari enjoys providing students with activities that work to their strengths and gives them confidence and purpose. Kari has set up art shows with her students' work at Dos Amigos. She has set up a store that has sold everything from Tidy the Duck mini ducks to student artwork to old records for a student who loved the classics. Kari teaches her students to cook, garden, and the qualities of a good employee. She encourages positivity among her support staff and her students, and she has high expectations for others to do the same. Kari is also an example of true resiliency. She has faced some challenging times over the past few years and has always come through with grace and determination to keep moving forward, qualities which her students adopt and which sustain them as well. Here are some words from her students and colleagues. Miss Kari draws pictures of me. Miss Kari is creative. Miss Kari is fun. Miss Kari is always smiling and has a positive attitude. Miss Kari has fun ideas. Miss Kari loves her class. Miss Kari is helpful. When I wake up, I go see Miss Kari at school. Miss Kari is a good teacher. Miss Kari is always welcoming. Miss Kari is down to earth. Miss Kari is giving. And Miss Kari has a heart of gold. To know Kari Zwick is to truly appreciate an educator and artist in every sense of those words. The Concord School District is truly blessed to have her as part of our community. Congratulations.
More reason to heal and get back in the classroom.
We can't wait to have you back.
Thank you.
There's one more from Concord High School, I believe.
Stacy Boyajian. Hi, Stacy Boyajian. So I have the distinct pleasure of introducing this distinguished educator to you. I'd like to share that Stacy Boyajian has been with the Concord School District for over 25 years, and I had the wonderful fortune of having Stacy be one of my very first mentors and one of the very first social studies teachers I had the pleasure of working with. So what I'm going to share with you today are some of the things that I learned about being an educator from Stacy Boyajian. First of all, treat all students as if they are special and amazing no matter what. Every student that interacts with Stacy Boyajian feels like they are the most important student in her world, and they feel that, and they walk that walk every single day with her. Get to know them as quickly as possible. The very first year I worked with Stacy in 1998, we sat at a 9th grade team meeting, and I could not believe how quickly she knew 78 students on a 9th grade team and knew what they did in their spare time, what they liked for breakfast, and what would motivate them. And I didn't know if I'd ever be able to get to that level of knowledge of students, but I've worked and believed that I need to get to know students as quickly and as possible. Work to support your students, but work equally hard to support your colleagues. Because if your colleagues are stressed, the students will be stressed. And as a distinguished educator, Stacy takes the time to be able to make sure that not every student feels special and amazing, but every teacher and every staff member at Concord High School also feels as if they are more important than anybody else. On top of all of that, Stacy has been tireless in working as curriculum facilitator, as a leader for the social studies department. She has helped to create new courses at Concord High School. She chaperones dances to this day, which is notable given that people have to chaperoning for 25 to 30 years are not as inclined to participate in those kind of events. And we are thrilled that she is yet again one of our distinguished educators for Concord High School. I've had the pleasure of becoming the best educator I could because of her, and she is a gift to the district. So thank you very much.
Okay, our nominee from Rundlet Middle School this year is Vince Giannetti. This is Vince. Before I tell you more about Vince, here's a little history. Vince graduated from Duquesne University with a BS in education. His first teaching position was in a program for at-risk youth in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, where he received the Rising Star Award. Next, he taught 7th grade math at Arcadia Middle School in Accomack, Virginia? Accomack, Virginia. Vince then relocated to Claremont, New Hampshire, where he taught 6th grade math for 7 years, and that's where Vince and I came to know each other. And in 2019, we had the good fortune of having Vince join us at Rundlet Middle School. Currently, Vince is a 7th grade math teacher at RMS and has been for the past 4 years. He was a welcome addition from the very beginning. Vince is determined to help all students succeed and will think outside the box to make that happen for all students. He has brought a unique passion and dedication to his job that has had a positive impact, not only on his students, but their families and his colleagues. Here are some comments from his colleagues, some of whom are parents of his students. Vince is 100% a team player. Every day he asks how he can help our team, and he means it. He is dependable and is here every day. He's had math extra help sessions every week after school to help students. He's constantly stepping up to cover classes for staff. Parent communication is huge to Vince. He will always go the extra mile to help a student and connect with parents. He has taken on the role of 7th grade math teacher, math leader for his team. He makes math fun. That is true. I've been in his classroom. You do make math fun. He does a lot of hands-on learning and games and competitions to motivate kids. He never gives up. When kids are showing tough behaviors, he always goes the extra mile to find out why and to help them. And then another colleague also said, Vince Giannetti is an excellent choice for the Distinguished Educator Award. Vince is truly a remarkable and talented educator who is an amazing advocate for all kids. He's the ultimate team player who is selfless towards colleagues and his students. Past and current students describe that Mr. G makes learning fun and engaging. He seems to get the 7th graders 7th graders excited about math in a way that is unlike many I've seen. Kids are chomping at the bit to get to Mr. G's class and thrive once they are there. He always goes above and beyond, and I feel incredibly fortunate to call him a colleague and friend. And also, Vince is the consummate professional, always demonstrating great care and consideration for all aspects of not only his role as teacher of mathematics, but also as a mentor in countless ways to his students. In all deliberations, Vincent places the needs of students and their learning first. Vince consistently demonstrates an exceptional depth and breadth of care for his students based on both gathered and intuited knowledge of them. This is from Mr. White. You can tell the language. And I just lost my place. Vince gives generously of his time and energy, always volunteering to help where needed, always sharing his lunchtime and space with his students, and always adding value to discussions about how best to serve both individual students and the greater student body. At RMS, we have something called WIN, What I Need block. During this time, students are divided up according to the areas in which they need the most assistance or enrichment. Vince tried something new this year. He had his advanced math students tutor his most struggling math students. And the results? Students in both groups showed great improvement. This is the kind of thinking and risk-taking that we need in our ever-changing complex world. When the pandemic hit, Vince came in during that first planning week, and he helped deliver materials to students' homes. I remember because we were both masked up in my car, using lots of hand sanitizer as we went from house to house. Vince is also an active member of our safety committee, where he helps out by researching current best practices, assisting in the making of videos to teach students about our drills, and helping with SEER evacuation planning. And finally, Vincent brings energy to whatever he does outside of school as well. He's an outdoor guy who enjoys rock climbing and hiking and other challenges outside of his classroom. Vince has been a wonderful addition to RMS. We hope he stays for a long time so that he may continue to have an incredibly positive impact on future students. Thank you, Vincent, for all you do for the students and staff at RMS. It has been an honor and a privilege to work beside you for the past decade.
Principal from Beaver Meadow, Mrs. Vance, you want to come up?
Characteristics that describe Beaver Meadow School's Distinguished Educator for 2023 include limitless passion, enthusiasm, and positive energy. When you enter the classroom of this teacher, you feel the learning electricity and witness the purpose-driven actions that enrich the lives of her students. This educator is a leader among her peers and has nurtured learning at Beaver Meadow School for over 30 years. Her commitment to learning for all can only be described as distinguished. Pam Bean strives to bring out the best in all students each and every day. She models an enthusiasm for learning and life that is contagious to her colleagues as well as her students and the many, many student teachers that she has mentored over her career. Pam goes above and beyond to find ways to connect students in the school community and to engage them as active community participants. She has an inclusive mindset and fosters encouraging mentality of, you've got this. Her positive can-do attitude promotes school spirit and facilitates many school improvement efforts. Pam has been actively involved in our Tier 2 team, our Sunshine Team, Playworks, and is our building professional development coach. Her commitment to equality and equity is unwavering. Amongst others, an attribute that Pam possesses is her ability to create synergy. She understands the impact of collaboration on student achievement. No matter what the challenge might be, Pam is ready to roll up her sleeves, dive into the student data, discuss teaching and learning strategies, and create growth goals. She's an expert teacher who sees diversity and abilities as opportunities for her teaching team to simultaneously enhance their pedagogy while creating personalized learning environments. Her dynamic and enthusiastic voice, I use that word more than once, coupled with her engaging personality, carries throughout the classroom as she steals the attention of her students to the lessons and instructions she explicitly is teaching. The class is transformed into a hub of learning. It is a pathway. It is always a privilege to witness how her students are driven as they take risks, problem solve, ask questions, challenge themselves, and teach one another. She's a master teacher who is able to make learning relevant for multiple learning styles. Pam holds herself and her students to high standards and expectations. She provides students with learning environments that are student-centered and personalized to meet their individual needs. Her intentional actions and support set students up for lifelong success. Pam's can-do mindset is mirrored in her students, and yes, the adults who also have the privilege of working alongside of her. All of the ladies back there nodding their heads. Pam continuously seeks opportunities to incorporate play into learning. She is a trained Playworks educator and has trained her colleagues at Beaver Meadow School. This approach to teaching has created essential learning for our students to cooperate, be assertive, show responsibility, demonstrate empathy, and reflect on self-control. These skills support students to be lifelong learners who have a voice, show agency, and demonstrate perseverance. Partnerships with parents are equally as important to Pam. She connects with families immediately and nurtures a bond of togetherness to support learning that does not dissipate after a single school year. She stays connected to families long after first grade. She is a sideline cheerleader for her students as they enter middle school and beyond. Her presence never goes unnoticed on the sidelines of hockey, football, and basketball games. Helping families is in Pam's DNA. She has facilitated events that support reading with your children at home and shared strategies in unique ways families can play at home that enhance both literacy and math skills. She is a way of bringing school and home together to form a positive relationship. Pam, a long-standing advocate of parent involvement, has been on committees to improve the school and parent relationships within the community. She has supported our Weekend Wagon program and our Holiday Angels program with donations. Her dedication to these relationships has set the foundation for families to understand their important role in their child's education. Pam is an advocate for underserved students. She ensures that they all receive the support and the interventions necessary to be successful. She has embraced a plethora of teaching approaches to meet the diverse needs of students' social, emotional, and academic needs. She truly embodies a whole child approach. Her efforts always shine through as her students return to her year after year to say hello and greet her with the biggest smile and a hug. She always leaves her students with words of encouragement that inspire them long after they have left her classroom. It is a complete honor and a pleasure that I fully support, and I recommend Mrs. Pam Bean to be our 2023 Distinguished Educator of the Year.
always the ones that you want to recognize that can't stand to be recognized, but we're glad. Quoting the poem by Amanda Gorman, "For there's always light, if only we're brave enough to see it, if only we're brave enough to be it." This epitomizes Dana Folds, the Broken Ground School Distinguished Educator for 2023. Dana's a shining beacon of light. She brings warmth, caring, and determined energy to our school community each and every day. Dana's a creative educator who inspires students to take on new projects and to do their very best. She facilitates the school tech committee of fifth graders who assume added responsibility to showcase students' activities and school-wide events like our all-school meetings. These students learn valuable technology skills while offering a service to their school. Dana's gentle yet focused support of these students allow them to discover their own leadership skills and strengths. In addition, all the third graders have Mrs. Folds as one of their weekly specials called STEM. Dana is masterful at embedding the learning in projects that engage our students. Our third graders definitely develop their skills and understand that they need to be responsible digital citizens and to use creative energy to solve real-world problems. Dana offers robotics club after school and has consistently been willing to support students at the 21C after school program. Under her leadership, Dana has transformed the media center at our school, making it user-friendly for students to ensure that the collection is more balanced for our student population. She's thoughtful about engaging our students in selecting books and helping them to preview the new ones in our collection. Her weekly offerings of various library and technology projects in the media center are sold out regularly as teachers and students are inspired by their participation. Standing room only. Dana was one of the first BGS staff members to step up for our equity committee. She attended district-led professional learnings and attended many other workshops and learning opportunities. But she just lit a fire. She's been instrumental in our school, having honest conversations and taking a reflective look at our school in terms of the visual representations we have in our school and the instructional materials that we use in our lessons and have available for students. Dana was one of the 3 teacher leaders who led the initial professional learning for our school staff on equity. She also volunteered to serve on the district equity team and has given many, many hours to this initiative by serving on the interview committees and attending district level meetings. As a staff member, Dana is a natural but unassuming leader who strives to support the entire school community. She's become one of the loyal volunteers for our food pantry, going above and beyond to support our families. She packs bags for students to take home weekly and has offered numerous extra opportunities for our families to come to school to receive fresh food by volunteering her time. Dana supports countless families in learning to set up Parent Square and to complete the online registration process, which is no easy task in our group. Parents are drawn to her caring, kind, and respectful demeanor. She is generous of spirit, and this shows through her interactions with all. Her colleagues value her opinions and seek her advice on so many topics. Dana currently serves on the BGS leadership team, and she's been a valued member of the district's digital learning specialist team since starting her tenure in the district. Broken Ground School and the Concord School District have indeed been blessed by her many contributions, her passionate teaching, her leadership. Dana Folds. We are proud to recognize her as a distinguished educator for 2023.
And certainly not last or least or anything else, we have a distinguished educator from the central office. So I asked John to do the honors.
Laura, can you come up here, please? Thank you. Tonight I heard from many of our distinguished educators had their own classrooms. Laurie's classroom looks very different, and I'm going to describe some of Laurie Hart and why I certainly believe she's a distinguished educator here. Through my career, I've had the opportunity to work with many distinguished educators who have inspired me each day. One of those individuals is a team member now and causes me to reflect on my own practice each day. She inspires me. She makes me feel stimulated with new ideas. I realize I've been given a true gift because I've been able to partner with Laurie over the last couple of years. In my role at Central Office, Laurie spends each day fostering our team with new opportunities to grow and to become even a stronger team. During this time, I have witnessed and heard testimony from parents, colleagues, and students that have impressed me on how strong Laurie is when it comes to her knowledge base of the community and her energy she brings to work each day. Laurie Hart is truly named right, Hart. She is the heart for Concord, and she brings this to her role as early education coordinator. Is responsible for the development, organization, and assessment of services for families and children from birth to age 8. She touches all children in the Concord community. Each childhood programming, she's either doing screenings for schools, readiness services for the community, family outreach, including for the caregivers and the education of all. She works with local community agencies. She promotes literacy each day. She's overseeing coordinates assessments from both mental health and emotional and behavioral health needs of the Concord students and families. Mrs. Hart has high expectations for herself, her colleagues, and of her leadership. She holds us all to a standard to be better each day and be the best we can for our students. She has been a steady, reliable partner for our team in the school and many families she works with. Her ability to rally the partners in the community and step up and create events is just amazing. Whether it's developing or organizing the Concord Family Center programming or supporting Concord children's birth to age 8 and their families for promoting kindergarten readiness throughout the development of an integrated early childhood system, Laurie has continually looked to provide better opportunities for all of our Concord families. She is amazing and resourceful. She's made great connections with community members, state agencies, professional learning communities, and built a positive working relationship resulting in families being provided whatever they need. The opportunity she gives to families is purposeful. It is planned, and she has the ability to connect and make people look towards a better future. One of such connections recently has come together with the Concord Recreational Center and the Concord School District. We had forged a partner that we have spent many years trying to do. Laurie and her team have grown this partner, offering Family Center 3 days a week and nighttime parenting community workshops for our community members. Her scope goes beyond Concord to include regional and statewide early childhood and family engagement opportunities. Her state work initiatives in early childhood is by far the most amazing work she's done. When you ask others in the community or around the state about Laurie, they respond saying she's extremely intelligent and so resourceful. She's a tremendous asset to this district. Staff members Laurie works with daily says her practice is very organized, purposeful, and this combination lends to very productive results. She is dependable, a hard worker, sincere, always positive. As a student service team, I have great honor tonight in nominating Laurie Hart as our 2022-23 Distinguished Educator.
Superintendent, I am always speechless. It was truly an impressive group of people you brought before us today. And I want to congratulate all of them and, you know, thank them all on behalf. And I will also take about a 5-minute break, so all of these educators who have to be up early tomorrow and in school can get a chance to leave, as well as their families. Thank you so much.
Thank
We'll take a 5. We are back from our recess, and, don't look too disappointed. We're back to the business of the school board as opposed to the celebrations we just had. Thank you, Superintendent, for an amazing group of people you just brought before us.
We were.
And with that, we will go to recognitions and reports. I assume you'd like me to start with our student representatives?
Always, students first.
All right, Finn, Sophia.
Hi, everyone. We have a lot of events coming up at CHS in the next 2 months. Spring Fling is coming up, which is an annual event for students at Memorial Field, and they'll have the opportunity to do all kinds of games and other fun activities outdoors while we have some nice weather. And we'll also be having some drama students performing the musical Grease from May 11th to May 13th, if anyone's interested in going to that. And the Be the Change Club will be hosting an international night on May 26th. And hopefully everyone enjoys spring for like the 2 weeks that we have it.
So good evening, everyone, and welcome to May. Again, hopefully with all the rain we've been getting, the warm spring weather will come soon for 2 weeks. As we conclude the school year, there are a few events coming up. So the National Honor Society induction ceremony for upcoming juniors will take place in a few weeks, as well as the award ceremony for the underclassmen. Seniors will also have their award ceremony as they wrap their final quarter in high school. AP exams are also this month, as students are preparing for them and will be very relieved when they are over. We also have Win Days, What I Need, and those are going to be on Fridays for the rest of the school year. So this is to replace the last week of school where we would usually remediate. So they have the whole year, the rest of the year, rather than just 1 week where they try and cram everything in. And so I think May is going to be full of fun things for all of CHS. Thank you.
Thank you both. You didn't wait till the end of the school year to cram everything in, did you? Of course not. Very much.
What are they supposed to
Thank
say?
Thank you so much. No, they answered that well, I think, so, thank you so much. Superintendent?
If I could do my report, I'm happy to report that I'm not quite finished bringing recognition to some wonderful people, so if you'll bear with me again, please. But this week I got an email from a lacrosse referee who did a game down in Exeter. It was a game that our high school students played against Scarborough, Maine, so that often happens, and they played at the field in Exeter. Might add, it's a beautiful, beautiful field if you've ever visited there. Excuse me? Sometimes it is, but it is beautiful. And I just want to read the note that we got from the referee. Hi, gentlemen, and this note went to the coaches of both teams. I was one of the officials for last night's game in Exeter. Just wanted to reach out and let you know that your players were some of the most respectful players I have come across in my years of officiating. Thank you both for teaching your players that sportsmanship is a very important part of the game. They are well coached. And please pass this along to your players for me. You know, he didn't have to do that, right? He really didn't. And yet he sent out that message to our coach and, of course, to our athletic director, Steve Mello. So I just thought, you know what, I wanted to share that with you. Right before vacation, I had a chance, along with John and Kim, to attend the Concord Trust. And as you know, every year they give out grants to our teachers. And the teachers early on in the year, around the beginning of the year, probably around in January, they apply for grants based on some innovations that they might do in their classroom. The money is held at the Charitable Foundation, and then the Concord Trust folks make grant awards to our teachers. And if I could just take a minute, there's 7 awards that were granted, and I just thought I'd share that. An assisted technology for students with reading difficulties to Heather Centino. It was $2,300 for that award. Hey, what's this word? Jane Dotson. Jane did a very similar thing. It's 8 text-to-speech reading pens to assist students with reading in case they have dyslexia or other learning disabilities. That was the same amount, $23.91. They both got that award. Over at Beaver Meadow, they had a black light art creations. This grant was for supplies to allow students to create luminous art consisting of 6 black lights, strip sets with remotes, along with neon cloth tape and fluorescent paint. A very creative art project, and for $439. Dave Millay over at Runlit requested 5. This is a really interesting one. It was for $1,150. 5 refillable water fire extinguishers with air compressors and utility cart to assist the Runlet Middle School Health Department. This is the good part, in teaching fire safety by ensuring that the students know how to use a fire extinguisher. You know, think about it. Sometimes people pick up the fire extinguisher and they don't know what to do with it. So Dave put in a grant, and now he has 5 refillable. By the way, they're using water, just in case you were worried. And the 5th project was called The Power of Drumming out at Millbrook. We had Jamie Barnett, Phil Hoffs, Caitlin Galler, and Victoria Hopkins, and theirs was a classroom set of toca drums and 6 Remo drums to be used in general music class. That'll be a fun class, won't it, when you finish there? But that was for $2,500. And then out at Runlet, another one at Runlet was for, and this was typical middle school, right? The Runlet Rock Band. Funds to be applied toward the instrument purchases, basses, electric guitars, amps, and drum pieces to teach modern band at Runlet in their general music class. So again, another great opportunity. And the last one was Padlet at Krista McCall of Carrie Stone for $1,700. And it was a 1-year subscription to Padlet, an online notice board technology that allows students and teachers to collaborate online by posting texts, links, documents, videos, and voice recordings. So again, great grants that our staff applied for and received, and now they can go out and get the materials they need. Next year at the Grants Award, they will have all of their products set up so that people can see their project next year when they announce the new winners for the following year. So I thought I'd share that with you. Let's see. I guess that I wanted to do the award winner. No, I guess that's it. Yeah, that's the one I wanted. Thank you. So I think some of you have heard about this, but one of our teachers was selected as the Environmental Educator of the Year by the New Hampshire Environmental Education Association. And that award went to Stephanie Bowser, who is in charge of the C program. I think the instructional committee had a chance to listen last week to Stephanie, right before vacation, about the project in the C, and she submitted her work. The message that we got was, wow, the New Hampshire Environmental Education Board was blown away by your commitment to getting your students outdoors and interested, curious about science and nature. The website that was created to engage students during COVID is very impressive, and your dedication to helping teachers get their students outside is inspiring. She'll receive that award on Wednesday in Laconia, and we're going to try to make it there, to be there when she gets her award. So again, another nice event. And lastly, I just wanted to let you know that Second Start is celebrating their 50th anniversary. And you'll probably get a notice within the next week or so, but 50 years they've been providing support for students in Concord and looking at alternative routes to their education and being very successful. So I wanted to take a minute and give them some praise for the work that they do. It's really great. I really don't have a lot of, we just got off from vacation. I don't know if any of you knew that. So it's been pretty quiet. I would say the effort right now in the district is around hiring. We have a lot of interviews for positions, and principals are moving very quickly to do the hiring and get those positions filled as soon as possible. So we still have some deficits in hiring that are really challenging to us. I know Matthew has had a number of vacancies in his staff, in the custodial staff in the buildings is where the problem is, but we'll continue to work and advertise. Paraprofessionals and educational assistants, we have a lot of vacancies, so hopefully we'll get those filled. Those usually get filled June and July, so. But we're making progress with the instructional positions. Other than that, that's it for me.
Very impressive presentation.
It's a great night. It was a great night.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Superintendent. Did you want to talk at all about Feed New Hampshire or the Memorial
Yeah,
Field
in your
Project?
packet on page 40, I put a flyer in there. This recognized, Feed New Hampshire is an organization run by the Restaurants Association, along with the Charitable Trust. And they brought in a number of high schools across the state, all the technology, career and technical schools. And Concord High School was recognized for their a savory dish that the students created, and they were all recognized at this event. So I put that information in your packet for you to review.
And they're receiving $15,000 for the program?
All schools who applied with a $15,000 donation.
What do they plan to do?
I'm sure that they will find ways. I haven't heard from Ann yet to see how she's spending it. But as you know, I think you remember this from the budget, that Matt is working with Ann to redo the restaurant area, the actual dining area, and really kind of bring it up to speed. And so they're working on it now. Matt, do you have it?
It's going to be a complete overhaul, facelift. It's going to bring it from the late 80s, early 90s to present. And it's going to be exciting.
I hope they do the crab cakes again. I'm still thinking about those crab cakes. I don't even like crab cakes.
They do an awesome job over there. So yeah, they're excited about their new digs. So.
Do we know what savory dish they made? The other ones are very specific.
Yeah, they didn't get specific in their list, so I'm not sure what they
That's why I
served.
offered my suggestion.
It could have been, it could have been those crab cakes. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Check into that.
And the last part of my presentation tonight, and it's in your packet on page 43, I would ask that, I'll try to answer any questions I can, but I put a memo in there for you. As you know, the city reached out to us regarding Memorial Field. You have been in discussions with the mayor and the town and the city manager around the facilities at Memorial Field. I think if you saw today, we were unable to play at the fields. The water is ankle deep, and in multiple places across the field. Now, granted, I know we got a lot of rain overnight, but last week it was like that too, and it prevented some of our students from having games and having to play on someone else's field. There's a home field advantage, and we don't have it. And I think it's time that we, and I know you are interested in taking a hard look at this. So Steve Mello, your athletic director, Matt and I and Jack have been meeting with the city officials, and they have proposed tonight, and I'm proposing to you tonight, that we begin the first phase of a master plan and analyzing existing conditions at the field. Now, this would be a cost of $129,000 for that initial phase with a contingency, for a total of $141,900 to do that. It would probably take 6 months to do this project. We would split it, and I think that was the agreement, or that was what we talked about, that we would divide the costs, and that would entail $70,950 for the Concord School District. And I listed some of the things that they would be doing. They would be reviewing the existing conditions. They would survey the entire parcel. They would do geotech work and including test pits so that they actually know what's there. Stormwater analysis is, needless to say, is huge. They would also run 3 public meetings for citizen input, one with the city council, one meeting with the school board, and at the end of the project, the city council and the school board together would hold a joint meeting. We would also work on some schematics, 2 design options, and look at what we would need for permitting in order for all of the work to be done, whether it's the stormwater, I think I'd put that in there, design and probable costs for a major overhaul. What would it cost after we do that? That would all be part of the initial phase. So the first question before you ask me is where would we get $70,950? And so Jack and I talked about that. And as you know, you have a proposed transfer of $426,796.10 into the school building maintenance fund. And I'm proposing that you use that $70,950 out of that fund so that you can move forward with this project.
The maintenance fund, not the building fund.
The maintenance fund, building maintenance fund.
Can I ask a clarifying question?
You sure can.
Great. I'm curious about what the city's expectation for a timeline on this after this 6 to 9 month period of doing the exploratory process. Do they have an expectation of like their goal is to have shovels in the ground by a certain year?
Well, I think that their idea is that we would continue to move forward, but that would take the hearings, especially the last one, which would be the final one with all the information. Because remember, this phase is going to tell us what else do you need, how much is it going to cost, and that's what you're going to present to the general public, both on the city side and the school side, for that determination. And certainly, this school board has a responsibility to vote on that.
Okay, thank you.
How long the project will be, the field is in desperate need.
I agree completely.
And we're not able to use it. All of the other Class Ls, I sort of alluded to Exeter. There are other Class L schools, the large schools like Concord, that have devoted some funding to facilities, and it is the major facility in the city for these kinds of events. You know, Concord was known for their band shows. They would bring bands in from all over the state, and they would have exhibits, and people would come and to me, that's bringing people to the city. And dining out and taking advantage of the things in Concord, and we don't get to do that much anymore because that facility is not appropriate.
Mr. Weber? Is Memorial Field the only facility being considered at this time, or are there other areas already owned by the city and schools?
This is the only one that they're considering at this time.
Okay.
I know that there was discussion about another field, but I think they've focused on this.
Okay.
This will go before the what they asked me to do is to see if I have a recommendation and actually put a suggested motion in my note to you. They would like to know how the board feels about it because they would like to bring this to the city council meeting this week.
Go ahead, Mr. Cotton.
Personally, I strongly support the notion, and I'm willing to make the motion to move to authorize the expenditure of $70,950 from the building maintenance fund for the purpose of developing a master plan and to conduct an analysis of existing conditions at Memorial Field.
Thank you, Mr. Cotton, although I think I would hold the actual vote on that until after public comment. But at this point, I'll let you make the motion, and is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second to that. And then we will take this up after we allow any public comment. Other questions?
I'm excited about, I'm glad that the city and school district have sort of figured out that we need to work together on this, and I say that as a parent who had to drive to Londonderry yesterday morning because our fields were not playable. You know, I guess one of my questions is, as part of the design process, are we going to be looking at what we need for the future, not just replicating the sort of types of fields that we have now? Are we looking at what sports there's growing demand for versus?
Right, that's a great question, and I've seen several drawings, but just, you know, schematic kinds of things. What do we need? For instance, we have a field, a football field, you know, that's taken care of. Do you need a practice field? They have talking about lacrosse fields. We'd like to get the girls' field hockey team off of Rollins Park, because I don't know if you've ever been to a field hockey game over there, but it's like, you don't know which way the ball's going to go because it's full of divots. And I mean, don't get me wrong. I know part of the game is following the ball, but that's like ping pong over there. So I felt bad for our girls, and they, you know, and yet I've seen other fields. I've seen games on, you know, turf fields or well-groomed fields that are just, you know, very playable. So. They are looking at what's the future going to bring for athletics. How does the community get involved? Is there going to be a walking trail, so a walking path, so that our seniors and our folks can use that and walk the tracks or walk areas? I think that's been the target of it, both from the city side and from our side also. I want to say that you will have every opportunity to see those, what it would look like, and be able to contribute to it. I know that's what will happen. Matt's shaking his head over there. We had these meetings, and that's what our goal was: is to bring it back, bring it to the community, and bring it to you for your input.
Other questions? All right, I'll save discussion until we get past the public comment section. Thank you, Superintendent. And do you have anything else for us?
No, I think that's enough.
Thank you very much. With that, we'll go to item number 8, which is the public comment. This is on agenda items, inclusive of the Memorial Field study that we just discussed. Is there anyone that would like to make a public comment? And if so, please come up to the microphone. Please sign in and tell us your name and where you're from so that we can accurately represent it in minutes.
Hello, I'm Nicole Fox. I am a parent in the district, and I'm a civil engineer by profession, and I think it would be a great idea to participate with the city in this study for Memorial Field. The fields definitely could be vastly improved from what they are now, and investing that money in our students and their physical activities is worthwhile. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Fox. Is there anyone else that would like to make a comment on any of the agenda items this evening? Not seeing anyone, I will close this public comment session and move on to item number 9, which is Mr. Cotton's motion to authorize expenditure of $70,950 for the purpose of developing a master plan to conduct and analyze the existing conditions at Memorial Field. Do we want an amendment to say where that funding will come from?
When I made the
You did
motion,
it?
I
Okay.
mentioned from the building maintenance.
Building maintenance fund? Very good. So, excellent. Is there any further discussion on this motion?
I have to say that when you go by Memorial Field, when it's very busy with kids there, it is a jewel. It is a blessing to have in this city. And it's been around for a long time. It hasn't had a great deal of maintenance over the years. I mean, as much as it should have. The folks there have done a great job with what they have to work with, but I absolutely fully support this. This is something that not only benefits our city, but our kids too.
Thank you, Mr. Croto. I will second that and reiterate that in the fact that you can go by on a non-rainy flooded day and see that our students make great use of it. As a matter of fact, Mr. Brown talked about an upcoming use for the spring fling, which will be taking place at Memorial Field. We utilize it as a district all the time. Other comments? Not seeing any. All those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Are there any opposed? Are there any abstentions? The motion passes. Thank you. Moving on to number 10, Mr. Dunn isn't with us, but is there anything from the financial report, Superintendent, that you would like to present?
No, I don't have anything for finance. Jack will have a report for you in June, which is really appropriate because you're nearing the end of the year, so you'll want to know where we stand, and he'll have that in June. The only other thing that's in there is
general assurances.
General assurances, of which you have reviewed and I have, but I put them in the board packet. This is the assurances that we give to the feds and to the state, that we will follow all the rules and regulations of accepting grant money. And as you know, we have quite a bit of grant money. And it's pages and pages of what they expect of us. And we do this every year, and we must do that, and it must be part of record. So not only does signatures required for Mr. Richards, but also myself, and then a motion by the board to accept the general assurances so that I can share those with the Department of Ed.
So I will inform the board that I have read all of these pages of general assurances, as I'm sure you all have, but the superintendent brought this to me a few weeks ago. I read through it, assuring him that we will be in compliance with all the federal requirements. So with that, I will make a motion that the board affirm, I suppose, the general assurances and authorize both the superintendent and I to submit them. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Ms. Robinson. Is there any discussion? I'll only add one other thing, and that is that I will compliment, we're looking at this because of participation in federal grants and program, and I will compliment our grant writer on the outstanding job that she has done in this past year. So I just want to note that for the record.
Did you second that, Sarah?
Mm-hmm. So, any further discussion? All right, with that, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? That motion passes.
Awesome.
We'll move on to personnel. Ms. Gavin, will you be handling this one?
Yes, good evening. The first is a leave of absence request. You all have a pink envelope with a request for leave of absence from a classroom teacher.
Thank you. I will entertain a motion with regards to the request for leave of absence.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Weinberg. Is there a second? I'm sorry, Mr. Croto. Thank you. Is there any discussion? Which I think we would have to have in non-public, but not seeing any. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? That motion passes. Thank you.
Okay, we'll skip over the administrator nomination that already was done. You will see next in the agenda is some new teacher nominations. These individuals will be new to the district. We have a new school nurse and a classroom teacher, a school counselor, and a school psychologist for new teachers.
Holy.
Is there something that we could answer?
I just saw who somebody was replacing.
Okay. Very good. Is there a motion to accept the recommendations for the teacher's nomination?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Weinberg. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Ms. Robinson. Is there any discussion beyond what Ms. Walsh has already expressed?
There-
Surprise.
Go ahead.
There are some Concord High graduates on here, so it's always exciting to see when students return.
I agree.
Just
Ms. Hastings.
for my clarification, I'm seeing that we are adding a new position of a math interventionist at Runlet.
That's on the new, that's on the existing staff. The first one is
Oh, okay, I'm
the
sorry.
new
All right.
teacher.
Okay. All right.
It's in that sheet.
If you look at page 65 and
65.
66.
Do you have any question beyond that?
Nope.
All right. Any other discussion? And then this is on the, for those who are interested, it's on the additional hand.
There's a
that we were given.
second list that I provided that we can go after.
All right. Not seeing any further discussion. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? The recommendations pass.
Okay. There was a second, it was a handout that I provided before the meeting started. It's for existing staff to take different positions throughout the district. And yes, you are correct.
That is a new position
New
that we
position?
hadn't.
New grant-funded position, yes.
It's a grant-funded
grant-funded
position?
It is. It's
Well,
Title
I
I
just
funding.
didn't know if you guys had discussed this, because
Oh, yes.
I might have missed that.
Yeah, we did, you mean on the board?
Yeah,
Um,
because we talked about these
we talked
positions.
about it. We talked about the position at Runlet. And, you know, we had offered 5 positions, right?
Right.
We knew that that was a budget, right? The budget implication. And so we went back to the table and looked at our grant funds in Title I to use to be able to do this position. Because we really felt like, after reviewed the data, the Runlet team presented data to us. I think we saw that at the instructional committee meeting, that there's still a lot of work to be done. And Joe Gadanya did it this year and wanted to continue having him work directly with the kids.
I don't have a problem
Yeah.
with that. I just want to make sure that that position
But
gets
it's not
used
part of our.
as it's supposed to be, as a
right.
math interventionist,
Right.
not a substitute teacher for
Right,
other.
right. You know, one of the problems last year was obviously when we had difficulty getting people to cover classes, and Joe's a good example. I mean, he stepped in on a number of occasions and would help substitute. So we'll be very careful with that. But we were, you know, when you gotta cover a class and he's available, he was willing to help us out, and he did. But on the other hand, we need to close that gap. And without that tutoring that he could offer, it was a dilemma for us, no question about it.
All right, thank you.
Fair enough?
Further questions? Discussion? All right, I think I need a motion to approve these. Moved by Ms. Walsh, is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Ms. Robinson. Without further discussion, whenever you're ready. All right. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? The recommendations pass. Thank you.
And last, I have some spring coach nominations for girls and boys lacrosse.
On page 67, lacrosse coaches as listed, moved by Ms. Walsh. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Robinson.
Anybody can jump in at any time.
You're doing a great job. So, any further discussion? Not seeing any. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? The math coach recommendations are approved. Thank you. Ms. Karen, do we have anything else?
That is all.
Excellent.
Did you want me to
Oh,
do the motion to?
Oh, yeah, we do need that
I'm
motion.
not sure whether you were going to make it or Michelle.
Well, I would like your permission, if you would, to be able to authorize me to offer contracts, and especially in the summer. It gets pretty intense right now when you're competing against other places. So that in the past, you have always given me authorization to hire summer.
I'll make a motion to authorize the superintendent and administration to hire during the summer 2023.
Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Cotton?
There's a lot of amendments,
Aye.
motions to,
That's okay. Tell me when you're ready.
That's all right.
John, who seconded?
Jonathan and Bob?
Mis- yeah,
Or Tom?
Mr. Cotton.
Mr. Cotton.
Okay.
Not Sarah this time.
Okay.
Is there any discussion? This is very similar to what we've done in the past. So.
That's right.
I'm ready.
All right. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. Very good. Thank you very much, both of you, for that. We'll move on to item number 12, capital facilities. We have the monthly meeting minutes and a recommendation for architectural services. Mr. Cashman, will you be
Sure.
presenting?
I will.
Please.
Thank you, Jim. On Wednesday, April 5th, we had a Capital Facilities Committee meeting. Tom Croto stepped in for Jonathan, who was absent for that. We went through and we reviewed the timeline and the process of the whole RFQ process we talked about that began in the late fall and carried on through to the spring. The day prior, we had a interview between two firms, HMFH Architects and LaValle Brenzinger Architects. The committee, that I do want to recognize the folks on the committee. Nicole Fox, who was a member of the public, was on the committee. Barb Higgins, Bob Cotton, Kara Meeker, Kathleen, Jack, and myself. We conducted interviews on April 4th of both firms. The committee found both firms very qualified, but a couple of differences. HMFH had a primary focus of school design. That's their primary focus. They had a very strong history with the school district, with the design of the 3 elementary schools, which were state-of-the-art. They conducted visioning and existing condition study back in 2017. They also most recently did the work for starting in 21 and through 22, pre-design in the building aid application process, which was very thorough and detailed. Both firms had very similar architectural percentages in their fee rate structures. All members deliberated after the morning of the 4th, Tuesday the 4th, when we had the interviews. And at the end, we all took a vote after good discussion and deliberation, and all 4 members of the selection committee recommended HMFH Architects, which the following night at this Capital Facilities Committee meeting, the same presentation was made, and the members at the Capital Facilities Committee meeting also voted 4-0 to recommend this to the HMFH Architects to the full board tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Cashman.
Sure.
For clarification, since I don't see it written in here, this is for
Architectural services, design services for the middle school project.
Thank you. I just wanted to make sure that we have that listed somewhere, because I was reading through really quickly, and I'm like, where does it say middle school? And I didn't see it, so
Very
thank you for
important point.
clarifying that. I do see for middle school referenced in there, but just to make the recommendation clear. So the recommendation of the board is or of the committee was for the full board to approve.
To approve HMFH
HMFH.
architect. Correct.
All right, so I would need a member of the board to make that recommendation. Go ahead, Mr. Cotton. You can make that.
I move the approval of HMFH as the architect for the middle school project going forward.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Mr. Croto. Discussion or questions?
I would just like to acknowledge Nicole Fox's very valuable assistance in helping us go through the process.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Fox, for your contributions. Not seeing any further discussion. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you very much. Mr. Cashman, is there anything else from that meeting that you'd like to present?
Just the second aspect of that meeting is we did go into non-public and sealed the minutes of that.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. All right, next up is communications and policy. Mr. Cotton?
Yes, the committee met and discussed several different policies and changes to the policies. Before you this evening are policy number 136, which is policy on public comment and participation at board meetings. That's here for a first reading.
Okay.
We did try to tighten it up and do some of the changes that have previously been discussed among the board, including trying to get the public hearing during the first half of the meeting, and authorizing 30 minutes initially, with the board being able to approve additional time if so desired. The second policy was policy number 650, which you can find on page 72 of the board book. Again, for a first reading, parental objections to library or specific course materials. And it sets forth what parents and guardians need to do to bring forward objections, and how the objection would be handled, including referring it to a committee to review the material and make a recommendation on how to handle the material. I should note that the material would still be available in the school library during the time while that review is going on. Again, that's for a first reading at this time. The third one is an existing policy, policy 211.1, exemption from immunization and TB examination. We're suggesting that this policy be removed and deleted. It's redundant with another existing policy, which escapes me at the moment which one it is. Do you recall?
I was just noting that the minutes for these meetings
It's
is
not
not in
in
the
the
packet,
packet, yeah.
so, which is a little problematic, because I was looking for those notes too. Yeah,
They're not in the.
no, we didn't approve them.
They
They weren't
didn't-
presented.
They weren't in the.
This is the first reading, though?
This is the
they weren't.
first reading.
First read on the first two. The third one, we're requesting that it be removed.
We'll need a motion for each, correct?
It's the first
No,
reading,
it's just
so
that
we'll
first-
do this to the next
First
one.
readings,
alright.
we don't need to.
So-
It'd only be the third. And again, the thinking on that is that it's redundant and has been replaced. If you'll notice, it was adopted in 1974. So it's a little out of date.
Yeah.
So as first readings, if anyone has any comments or discussion to refer back to the Communications and Policy Committee, you're welcome to make it now or anytime before the.
I was wondering if it would be possible to have changes that you're proposing in the first readings to maybe be bolded or in some way other, so that we could see what's different from the original.
The red line version.
The red line.
Right.
Okay. Thank you. And I would ask, although I don't, it's not that I doubt you, Mr. Cotton, but I would table the removal of the third item until we have the minutes of the meeting or a reference to whatever policy would be replacing it. So.
Seems reasonable.
Okay. So I made the motion to table recommendation on policy 211.1, seconded by Mr. Weinberg. Is there any further discussion on that? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? That item is tabled. And both of the other items will be up for second reading in at the June meeting. So if we can, Superintendent, if we can have the red line version sent to folks beforehand? Good. Any other comments with regards to the policies that Mr. Cotton just discussed? All right, Mr. Cotton, do you have anything else from the Communications and Policy?
No, thank you.
All right, thank you. Subcommittees, Anti-Racism and Equity Subcommittee, report. Ms. Yarlett or Mr. Worthy? Mr. Worthy.
Hello, everyone.
Welcome.
Nice to see you all again.
Good to see you too.
Yes, apologies for my voice, allergies season, and I'm dealing. So, thank you all. So I'm just update on that. Fantastic. The district, we have an Equity Advisory Council Committee that is comprised of admin, students, teachers, community members, also school board members as well. I think it's a pretty decent group of folks that allows for representation throughout the district. It could be better, but it's good for right now for its starting phase. We've met twice now, just in regards to getting to know each other, get aligned on the past initiatives that the district has made, as well as what we would envision for the future. So far, a lot has come out of those meetings. And then going into our next meeting is when we will most likely start diving into a lot of the work that was put forth, I believe, prior to myself and prior to the superintendent being here, as far as there's, I believe, 11 different parts of the matrix, I believe is the wording for it. But yeah, so we're going to be diving into those, having subcommittees actually kind of focus on what they would like to do is when it comes to building capacity, making changes, creating policies, things along those lines. But overall, that has been going really well. Also, since a lot of the high school students are seniors this year, unfortunately, they will be leaving. They've done some recruiting of their own, actually, which is fantastic, and have found some of their replacements already, so that's great. And then as far as middle school, the students that are there are going to be there next year as well, so that's good. But I am open to specific questions because I could just talk your ears off about nonsensical things that it's my head. But outside of that, I can provide you an update just on my position as well and some things that I've been doing too.
Since this is the first chance that we've had to talk with you, Mr. Worthery, I'd be very interested in hearing an update on your position.
Fantastic.
And we may even have a couple questions, so please.
Cool. All right.
As long as your voice holds out.
Yeah, I really hope it does. So prior to this, I just decided to write down the first couple things that came to mind that I am a part of, or that I participate in some capacity. So it's just going to sound very jumbled, but so could all. As far as clubs go, at the high school, I do attend 3 clubs as of right now. That one, it's because they pique my interest, but 2, they definitely align very well with the work that I'm doing. So Racial Equity Club, the GSA at the high school, as well as Be the Change Club are 3 that I frequent a lot. I do plan on going to some other ones that some students have reached out to me about, so I plan on adding more to that list. As far as meetings, focus groups, subcommittees, there's a few, if you will. Let's see. So I just recently joined the crisis team at the high school on a library and instructional materials committee, SEL focus group / committee, ELL focus group / committee, behavioral health equity statewide work group through the Office of Health Equity. I've been on multiple hiring committees, for instance, like the assistant principal, who I'm very happy that you all liked. That's another example of some things I've been doing. I even have some interviews this week as well at the high school to partake in. I have a community of practice with 6 other districts throughout New England, which the focus is diversifying the educational workforce. So with that, we meet and just really kind of bounce some ideas off each other on how to improve our districts and make it so that all students are represented in some way. I'm presenting at the New Hampshire School Administrators Association conference in June with the other DEIJ folks throughout the state. I also have, at this point, I believe we probably meet in person. We try to do it once a week, but if not, then usually it's a minimum of twice a month, and then we're in constant communication with each other throughout the days, providing support to each other. Let's see here. As far as some schools have reached out to me for specific things, I've had some conversations with a group of 4th graders on how to improve their school culture and climate in a lot of really awesome ways. One really great soundbite that came out of that was that, and I swear this is not a plug, I did not do this, but one of the students who is not a student of color actually just randomly raised their hand and said, I would love that if we had more teachers that look like all the other students that are in the school. Specifically, she referenced black students, but I'm assuming that she speaks for all. So that was actually really great. I really enjoyed that, and it kind of gave me some hope for humanity, if you will. 5th grade, I had a meeting with a group of 5th graders that was more of a restorative justice conversation, just around how I say group, it was probably like 15 to 20 or so, but just around how their words can impact other people's everything. And it was really interesting because I opened up that meeting with who here has had their feelings hurt by someone at this school. They all raised their hand. Then followed up with who here has hurt someone's feelings at this school. They all raised their hand. So we can work with things like this. They're self-identifying. They actually came up with all the solutions themselves. I really just had to be there to provide a space. Couple prompts here and there, but they were able to figure it out themselves, which was really great. I have accompanied Kim, one of the assistant superintendents for the Lakes Region curriculum and curriculum instruction and assessment, is it? Yeah, so I guess I have some meetings, and I went there and just talked about my position, what that looks like for this district, because oddly enough, all of the stuff that I do kind of falls on those people in those districts. So just kind of, actually there was a point of that meeting where I rattled off all of these things, and they were wanting to expand their districts as well in this type of way. So, and I've heard this a lot from other administrators across districts But they are noticing what's happening here in Concord, and they are starting to do some exploratory work themselves. So I'd say good job for being ahead of the curve. Later this month, I'm speaking on a panel for the New Hampshire Center of Justice and Equity. They have an annual meeting. There's going to be 2 superintendents on that panel, as well as the Secretary of Education for Massachusetts and a student assistant program counselor out of Manchester. The superintendents also have DEIJ folks for their districts as well. And that's just what came to my mind when I was sitting here waiting for this to begin. So any questions, comments?
Anyone? Go ahead.
Have you developed a formalized process for making recommendations to the superintendent, to the principals, to the board, if necessary, when you identify things we need to work on?
I do not have a formalized anything, but I think that is in part because I've tried to intentionally build relationships with the folks I'm working with, that it can be more of a conversation rather than just me raining down thoughts and feelings on situations. But if you would like, I can put something together if that makes more sense.
I was just curious about, how you're approaching in terms of systematically looking at, data about participation in certain things. Anecdotally, I noticed that our music programs at some of our schools don't seem to reflect the diversity of our district. And is that because we're requiring students to rent instrument? As a board member, I would like us to know what we should be thinking about and doing on that. And so if those are, I'm wondering if you're looking at those types of things, and if you're coming to, who would you take recommendations on those to?
Yeah, so that's really interesting they use that specific example. I've had students and parents talk to me about band specifically and how it's not really set up in an equitable way so that students can join. Also, from just a visual standpoint, you can see that representation just is not there. So when that did happen, I just went straight to the superintendent and just said, this has made its way to me. Where can we go from here? And conversations have been started with some schools, not all schools, in regards to that. But that's a perfect example of something that is on my mind.
Go ahead, Mr. Condon.
I'm sure you're probably aware that the city has undertaken a listening project, if you will, related to DEIJ. Are you going to have any input? Are you going to observe? Are you going to have any interaction with that committee that's been formed?
Yeah, I put 2 of those dates on my calendar, so I plan on attending at least 2 of those sessions. And then I'll see what goes from there necessarily. I don't really know what their involvement with me will be, but I'm open to be involved in any way possible.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
One of the other areas, if I might, that Quincy talked to me about was also the students applying at the Current Technical Center. And I know that he has meeting this week with our principal up there because we also noticed that the ratio of students applying and participating in the career and technical didn't seem to represent the student body at the high school. So that's another area that Quincy has actually got a meeting this week with the principal. Just to follow up, Pam, on your question, every week Quincy meets with Kim and I and John. So that's where we're beginning to hear about things like you just talked about, like the band, and the fact that sometimes the expense of renting equipment or instruments, rather, can be difficult for families, and so how do we get around that, which obviously then becomes a budget issue.
It becomes a budget issue, but I think in some ways it is. I know at the elementary school my child attends, the PTO has in the past purchased violins so that they are available. But when the notice came home, that wasn't told to parents. So even something that simple as people knowing that that might be an option, I think is something to think about too. But yes, we also should look at the expense.
Go ahead, Ms. Hastings.
I'm wondering, do you keep any sort of logbook that doesn't necessarily give away identifying information, but just the different things that you're coming across that you bring to the superintendent or to different people? I know we've had a questions in the past about the National Honor Society and the lack of representation there as well. And so if we just had sort of concerns listed and then where we are on dealing with some of those concerns, it'd be great to get those kind of updates every once in a while.
So fun that you mentioned that. So out of the last get together for the DEIJ directors from throughout the state, we all kind of shared our ways of tracking and documenting all of this. One of the folks actually shared his annual report that he puts out. We have all decided that we're most likely going to be adopting that. So I have a format that I'll be using. He actually had someone, I don't know who or what or how, but as a very detailed Excel sheet, drop-down list with very specific touch points. So for instance, like student something. And then that could be broken down into, was it an equitable thing? Was it bullying? Was it homophobia? Was it all sorts of things that could go underneath? And it's very well documented. I think that it'll be very well received for this group of people, and I know it's going to impact how we meet moving forward. So I plan on using that.
Great, thank you. Look forward to seeing it.
Other questions?
I just want to commend you for moving your way through your first year in a position that was pretty amalgamous, and I think you're doing a great job. I've heard wonderful things about your interactions with students, so thanks for being a part of the team.
Thank you.
Mr. Werther, I'll encourage you to also look at participation in STEM and mathematics and engineering, which I want to make sure is equally represented, and if there's something holding any of our students back, I think the board would like to hear how we can affect that. I'm sure the superintendent does.
Yes,
and then I don't want to delay everybody by getting into discussion on diversifying our educational workforce, but you and I can talk about that sometime offline, because I'm very interested in that too.
I am happy to do so. The group that I'm with for that, we're having our last meeting coming up this month, but that's more out of just like grant funding related things. They believe that they should be getting more funding for next year, so I'm just going to stay a member of that. And I've also had Michelle join some meetings as well. So
Outstanding. We're very interested in our staff as well as our teachers, reflecting the students that we have in our schools. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Worley. And I'll just add that our next diversity committee meeting is on May 16th, and we've been able to conduct these at Runlet Middle School in order for Runlet Middle School students to join us because they get out at 3:30. So last month they joined us for the first half hour, and it was, I think, one of your probably largest where you're going to get most of your information is directly from the students. So student voice is so important here. So it was great to have some interest on that, and thank you to Paulette for accommodating us at Runlet Middle School so that we can include those student voices. So May 16th, 3 to 5.
Excellent, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Quincy.
Sustainability committee, does it fall you? I don't think
It does fall to me. And this will be very quick. So we had a meeting last Wednesday where we discussed the city will be beginning a community power program. Part of that program is for just basically taxpayers to find ways for lower energy costs while prioritizing renewable energy sources. And this committee, the membership of it, has a school board representative as a part of it. So that will be a good discussion in the future about who the district believes could be a valuable voice for this as well, and that's separate from the Concord Energy and Advisory Committee, which I serve on. That's mostly, I think, the main task for the future and what's going on, and exciting that this is a budding partnership between the school district and city, like we're seeing with athletic fields as well.
Excellent, thank you. And from a personal point of view, I encourage you or whoever is going to be involved with the community power to drag Mr. Cashman into this as well. I believe his expertise will be useful, as well as the fact that we will learn a lot for our school district.
There's no dragging involved.
Okay.
I'm right there.
Very good. Any other questions for Mr. Weinberg on the sustainability item? All right, thank you. Superintendent, other businesses, all I see under there is monthly enrollment, and that would be you.
Yeah, that, if you look on page 81, that's your regular monthly enrollment report. You can see that there was a decrease at the elementary level. There's about 50 students since we looked at the numbers back in September. So I used the September numbers. So that's about 10 for each school. We'll see now that the spring and see what changes there'll be. The middle school, 15 students, high school, 33 students, but we adjusted those numbers because we were looking at the Deerfield numbers too. Remember, we had counting Deerfield kids twice. I talked to Superintendent Sherman over in Deerfield because I think that's still an issue out there. And their board was meeting right before the vacation, so I haven't talked to Patty. Unfortunately, she lost her partner over there at Allenstown. Peter Warburton passed away from cancer, and so they lost their superintendent in Allenstown. So she's been preoccupied with, covering those schools over there. I think it's Allenstown and Epsom. But Deerfield's just lost a few students at the high school. And preschool, again, John will tell you, and John will attest to that, but you look at what we started out in September at 90, and now we're 130. So the preschool numbers are huge, and I hear pretty much daily from John. Comments, John? You want? There you go.
It's going to sound astronomical, but our referral rate over the last 3 years has been well over 100, and we are over 100 again at this point this year. With referrals, the team is doing a great job of, only identifying the students that need to be identified and following the laws and the regs and doing it, but there is a lot of students, which I believe is a fall from where we were in COVID coming. They are now 3 and 4 years old, and we are seeing some definite developmental delays, some rise in autism, and a rise in just language acquisition. It's been it's a growing population, and I think that our timing about bringing another program to Abbott Downing is very good, and I think if we had more space, we could bring in more, and I think that's where we are.
Mr. Fabrizio, as I looked at that numbers and as I read over this, that number's what stood out for me, but even more than that, I see the significant increase at Beaver Meadow from 42 or 54, whichever starting point you'd like to pick, up to 74. Are we able to keep up with that, both with physical space as well as staff?
Yeah, we are. I think that, it's one of those things where we continue to look at it. We track it daily. It's been a busy year of assessment, and we predicted this. I think it's something that we were prepared for. We talked about last year. It continues just to have a lot of students, like I said, that are being referred for special ed, that are experiencing, when we get into the older grades, we're seeing, of course, our mental health. It is definitely something we all knew and predicted. This is a fallout from that right now. So I continue to monitor and watch it, and I'll come back when, we do final placements and caseloads. If I look high, I'll come back to the board and talk about that when we get to that point.
Other questions? Thank you.
And then if you look at 83 and 84, those are your calendars for May and June. Hard to say, hard to believe, I'm talking about June. I know the seniors don't want me to talk about June, but, or maybe you do, huh, Finn? But anyway, next week you have communication and policy. And on the 10th, we'll double dip there. We're hoping negotiations continue with CEAA. We're still doing that. Capital Facilities and Finance will have a joint meeting so that we can talk about some issues around that. Instructional Committee on the 15th. Executive Committee on the 22nd with City and Community Relations. And the family event night with John Broderick, I think, will be a great night. It's at 6 to 7:30. Did she select a site, John? I'm not sure whether I'm not sure. Yeah, I'll get back to you on that. I'm not sure where she selected a site. Janine is coordinating that event. And of course, Memorial Day on the 29th. In June, again, your school board meeting on the 5th, the capital facilities. The following week, communication and policy. I bring your attention to the Wall of Fame event. I think that's a pretty special night. I just got a message from Principal Reardon. Any comment on that, your Wall of Fame event?
So, I don't know if you guys are all even aware of it or not, but we've been working to create a permanent Wall of Fame at the high school. It'll be located up on Main Street. It's being designed by Brad Wilcott, who was a CHS graduate, early 2000s. He was an officer in Iraq with the U.S. Army as well. He's a master woodworker. So perhaps it's indiscreet to bring up at this point, but our original plan was we were just going to kind of get some plywood, put a wall together. And then we became aware of Brad, and it's going to cost us a little bit more money, cost the district a little bit more money, but it'll be worthy of its purpose. And it's going to be a beautiful spot. So on the Tuesday of graduation week, the 13th at 6 p.m., we'll have our first convocation. The senior class will be in attendance. I'm hoping that many of the board members will be with us as well. We're inducting two folks. One is General Edward Brooks. He's a lieutenant general in the U.S. Army, graduated from Concord in 1911. Lieutenant general, 3-star general, earned a Distinguished Service Cross in World War I. Commanded the 2nd Armored Division in the Normandy invasion, D-Day, and commanded the entire U.S. 2nd Army, which was basically our army in Korea. And there are pictures of him with Churchill and all that stuff. So, the work of a couple of our social studies teachers uncovered him, and his family's really excited about coming. Some of them are coming from Arizona and so forth. Our living inductee this year is David Souter, this Supreme Court Justice, who I just had a chance to talk with this afternoon a little bit. And he's very excited about this. You may know that Justice Souter is reticent about public appearances, so we're really thrilled that we have him coming in. He's going to address the seniors as part of the convocation ceremony. The event won't be over an hour. It'll probably be about, I'd say, around 50 minutes. It'll start in the auditorium, and then we'll have a recession out to Main Street for the unveiling of the plaques and a little reception afterwards. So the idea, last thing I will point out is the idea is twofold. One, and they're pretty obvious, I guess. One is to honor past CHS graduates, and I think there's going to be, as we do more and more research, some really exciting people. But beyond that, the educational point is for our students, and as they pass the Wall of Fame every day in their peregrinations around the building, that they see that these are the people who preceded them in the same hallways and the same classrooms, and serve an inspiration for their own aspirations. and their own accomplishments in the future. So the actual wall will have a quote on it. It will say, through these halls pass those with the courage to lead, the strength to achieve, and the compassion to make our world a better place. And those words, I hope, will inspire kids for a long time to come.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you. Go ahead.
What time, Mr. Reardon, will that be starting?
I'm sorry?
What time would that be starting?
6 o'clock.
6 o'clock. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Reardon.
And then, just to continue the rest, that's a busy week. Again, finance and negotiations, and graduation on the 17th, Saturday morning, 10 o'clock. Hopefully, we don't have to wear boots. Memorial Field will be dry. But 10 o'clock for graduation, just a great, great event. And if you haven't let Lisa Lamb at the high school know that you're going, please do so as soon as you can. The next week, as you know, the students are in school. We have an instructional meeting on the 19th. Last day for the youngsters is the 21st, and the last day for teachers is the 22nd, followed by executive and city and community on the 26th. So I think a pretty traditional schedule for you all.
I do notice that you did not invite any of the school board members who are not parents of current students to chaperone the prom. Did Mr. Weinberg
I did that 2 years ago.
do that?
That was something else.
I was going to say, did you
That sounds like
misrepresent us or so that we're not invited back?
No, I was the person.
You were. Okay. I heard that,
you going?
he was well received. I am not allowed to go since I am the parent of a current. I was just expressly told that parents of students were not allowed to
As it
be
should
there.
be.
So
And
yeah,
I
so
agree.
Well,
I
I guess
agree.
if chaperones are still needed, I could maybe make
you may
myself
step
available.
up again. I heard. Yep, I heard your dance card was full.
I didn't even dance.
Look how ready he's doing.
I know. It's, he had they like having him here.
What day is the prom?
It's usually on a Thursday.
Prom date?
Prom.
I think it's a Thursday, yeah.
Right before graduation, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
So
so it would be the
15th.
15th. Why, you
I
want?
just like the procession.
Brenda, will you be my
Oh,
date?
okay.
I was gonna
Oh,
say
yeah,
I do.
I love seeing how everyone dresses up. It's fun.
Where is
So-
the procession this year?
It's going to be as it was last year.
Down Main Street.
Oh, I love
I think that's a great idea.
I think it's great. Thank you very much.
So I suspect you'll all be spectators then, okay?
Finn is laughing over there at the thought of having a school board person at the prom. He's amused.
Well, he has spent 2 years with you, so,
Yes, that's true. He's smiling, saying, "It's past all of your bedtimes, man. It's really bad. You know, you all be asleep, tired." Yeah.
we're gonna miss you, Finn.
Superintendent, next I think we have public comment for our second item. Is there anyone that would like to make a public comment on any topic? If so, please step up. Not seeing anyone. Superintendent, do we have need
Yes.
for a non-public
A
session?
very short, yes, very short.
All right,
On the
then
student
this-
issue.
Following the non-public session, we will most likely vote to seal the minutes, but that would be the only vote we have other than adjournment.
That's correct.
So we will cease our broadcast following the vote to go into non-public session. And do I have a motion to go into that?
I will move that we go into non-public session under 91A3, Section 2A.
Correct.
And Section 2D.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, motion was made by Ms. Walsh and seconded by Mr. Weinberg. This is a roll call vote, so whenever you're ready.
Mr. Richards.
Aye.
Ms. Walsh.
Aye.
Mr. Weinberg.
Aye.
Mr. Cotton.
Yes.
Ms. Robinson.
Yes.
Mr. Croto.
Yes.
And I vote yes.
All right, the vote is unanimous in going into non-public session. We're in non-public. Thank you, everyone.